Okay, so now we're being recorded. So if you go to a URL, a time clock, it's when you log in, it's going to be up in your kiosk as you enter the building, and then you'll, like the old system, you'll type in your number and hit the enter key. You got to type in the right number for the recording. So when you hit enter, it's going to come up with your position as fiscal officer. If the person has more than one position, then they could switch that to the position they're logging in for. So if there's a teacher that does bus monitoring or whatever, they can select the one that they're logging in, and that'll the rate of pay and the correct pay type will follow that particular position. So you can hit enter there and clock out. It's just like the old one. When you hit enter, you get the clock in or the clock out based on which one you've done the last time. So if you clock in and then you come in the next day and clock in again and you forgot to clock out, then you're going to get the clock out. And just like in the old system, the way it's set up at the moment for Waccamaw is that the person will go ahead and clock out and then immediately go and clock back in for that day and talk to his supervisor about correcting that time fault. So that's pretty much the employee time entry for clocking in and out. Should be very similar to the last one. And of course, if you have a touch screen, you can touch the screen and put your number in. Okay, so the other site that we want to get in this recording for the managers and their employees is the employee portal. And we have documentation for this, which we will circulate before they start doing it. And the documentation is going to have instructions for what the employee should do the first time they log in. So the first time they log in, they won't have their credentials yet, so they'll need to click, I forgot my password. And that'll send them an email. Well, it'll pop up a page where they enter their email. And if that email matches what we have on file for them for the employee, then they'll get an email with a temporary password. Once they do that, then they'll come in here and enter their email, which this is their work email, Cindy. So we'll want to make sure that their work email, that they know that. And it can be their personal email in the work email field for the employee. So anyway, we'll log in here. And I've received my password via the email, so I'm going to put it in. And then when I click sign in, it goes to two-factor authentication. So you can have two email addresses and two phone numbers if you define them for the employee, which would be their work email, their personal email, or their phone. So I would do their personal phone so that they can send the code there. So they'll send the code, and it will go immediately to their phone, and then they'll key in that code. And that takes them to the employee portal. So on the portal, they can go in at that point in time and change their password. They'll put in their current password and the new one and change it to what they want it to be. then they can review their personal information. They can't change any of it, but they can review it and then report that to HR or whoever has rights to change that if it's not correct. Then every time you run payroll in the current system, the employee gets an email with a PDF attached. In the new system, they'll get an email, but it'll have a link to the portal. So they'll have to go through the portal login and two-factor authentication. Then they can come to payments in the employee portal, and then they can view any of their direct deposit statements here. And in your system, you'll have you'll have 3 years worth of direct deposits statements in here that they can review. And they can print this or export it, to PDF or Excel or whatever they want to export it to. So that'll be every pay period. Now, at the end of the year, they can retrieve their W-2s from here. So these are the tax documents. And so right now we have last year and well, we've got this year, but for Waccamaw, you haven't generated yours yet. So 2023 wouldn't be out here. But when it's out here, they just click the glasses and this generates a PDF for them to be able to print and take to their tax consultant to do their taxes. And it's always out here. So if they need a copy of 2 or 3 years of W-2s, then they can come out here and get it themselves. Okay, so leave request. This is in the current time system, you could get to this from the time clock. This now has been moved to the employee portal. So you can come in here and you can see what your balances are for annual sick leave or whatever you have. And then you can request a new leave request. So you can pick, any time in the future. And you can pick a date range. You have 4 days selected of annual leave and say we want to do 7 hours a day. So I still have enough time here because I got 29 hours available. And this 29 hours is their current balance plus any pending requests that they already have out there. So if I went over that, it's going to come in and tell me I'm exceeded my available hours. So we'll keep it below that. And then when you submit that, it adds it to the grid. So these are my 4 items here, and they're pending approval. And I could either cancel them, or I could change one, or I could just view the details. So even if I have an approved one, if I don't want to take it, I can cancel that, and that'll, not be applied to my timesheet when it gets approved. Well, when that period rolls around. But right after I submit that, they're just pending approval until they're approved. We'll be adding some reports here so they can see the history where if they question the balance, they can see all their accruals and all the time they've taken for beginning with whatever date they choose. So we'll be adding those in here. But this is where they'll submit their approvals or submit their request for leave. And then here's the timesheets. So they can go to any period that's they've been paid already or that's out there with the timesheet and view the timesheets. So that's full employee portal. And we will send the documentation out so you'll know how to get authenticated at the beginning of using the portal, how to log in, and then an overview of what's in the portal. So that concludes what we need to record for the manager. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop that, or I can pause.